Hello, everybody. Welcome to another live stream, Paratus live stream. Check in with the audience just to see how you guys are doing and to just, I suppose, talk about what's happened in the last few days, what's happened the weekend, that's happened the last week in level 3 lockdown South Africa. And we're talking about civil rights, we're talking about gun rights. They're the same thing, by the way, for people who haven't noticed. But before we get cracking, look what arrived in the mail today. So this is Roman from the Morning Shot, his Obey mask, which is pretty cool. It's one of those that you can actually set up with this stuff so that it doesn't like make your ears lean forward. Yes, hello to everybody. We're going to talk merchandise now. I see everyone wants to talk merchandise, but it's actually a pretty cool thing. So what he's done is he's got a little bit of like unlocked down communist sign, all the good stuff. I ordered it last week, I think Thursday, and it arrived this morning. And he sold a metric ton of these things. And the good news is the same agency that's responsible for the manufacture and distribution of this are the guys who are going to be doing my stuff. So the baseball caps will be going through them, Lanford agencies. The T-shirts will be going through them and the hoodies. And just to make sure everybody is still on the same page, the reason it's taking a bit longer, the baseball caps are going to be good to go hopefully this week. The hoodies are 100% locally manufactured. All the stuff is locally manufactured, but because of the lockdown, the factories that were responsible for making them, the garments, now not the actual branding on them, was not an essential service. So they were mothballed, they were brought back online, and there is the availability situation is a bit not good, but that's being worked on. I'm positive and optimistic. I'm really happy with the quality of the stuff they made for Ramon, the GIMP mask, as it's called. I think it's called Genuinely Impressive Mandated Protection. That's what the GIMP stands for. And I'm really chuffed that they distributed them relatively quickly, and buying them online through the portal was also easy. So I was very impressed. Now to say how's it to everybody. If you want to go over to YouTube, guys, please do, please. I'm trying to decentralize off Facebook as much as possible. Obviously, I'm going to carry on broadcasting on both channels, but anyone watching on Facebook, please consider subscribing to the Paratus YouTube channel. Easy to find. You just search for Paratus, and you will find the Paratus YouTube channel, and that's where the other half of this live stream is. Paul Hart. Hello, Paul and Charles. Is this hip shooting a Glocky thing? Well, you know what? We can, but I like hip shooting with the FAL or with the Winchester 1300. So either works for me. And I hope that answered the cap question, because I really desperately want one of my own caps. As narcissistic as that sounds, I really would like to get my hands on one of them, because I really like, I don't know, I really like the idea of my own merchandise. Mr. Punisher, hello. And my favorite purple cow, Mareike, who also funded, she was one of the gallant few, I think there were 5 people who funded Whiskey Friday. You were the biggest contributor, Mareike. Thank you. So thanks to Mareike, Brian and I can buy whiskey to get drunk on our next Whiskey Friday while we talk guns and other nonsense. So bye donkey, Iedele. Steve also has one, clearly. Well, good job. I think we can all just tell Roman. Are you still waiting for yours, Paul? You must tell me where you are, because I do know that they're having distribution problems because there were so many orders. They had so many orders. Hello, Bernard. And Sean is here, and Anton, and Mark Lottering, and Shaw already. It's not Roman's masks, it's our masks, comrade. Very, very good. I will be sure to tell him that. Lawrence, good to see you here. And yeah, there are still Facebook people, but we like the Facebook people. The Facebooks is where my majority of my subscribers are living, after all. And yes, I know I got to pump the rookie numbers up. Paul, Anton wants to know if you're sitting with a dop. And excellent, Calvin. You also got your Obey mask and going to strut down Bloberg Boulevard. Excellent stuff. Like, I'm loving this. Okay, so is this male only? The mask, no. The caps and the hoodies, also no. So it will be I hope that I'm answering the correct question here, Linda, but it will be as unisex as is humanly possible. We can even call it bisexual if it helps people. But so I got a couple of really interesting messages throughout the evening because I went off on a bit of a screaming match, I think, on the Facebook page into the echo, well, not the echo chamber, into the ether about how stupid I think the current dark lockdown regulations are. Not that there's much I can tell you about how stupid they are. I think most of you watching me already know they're stupid. So there was a thing on the news where they said, okay, they're looking at reopening sit-down restaurants, beauty parlors, and tattoo parlors, tattoo studios, under what they're now calling like a soft Where's my other hand? There you go. Sorry, Tyrannosaurus Rex. Soft level 3. And don't worry, guys, I'm going to answer all the other comments and questions about the Hawaiian shirts and stuff shortly. So I just looked at the soft level 3 idea and I go, the economy suffered enough. Sit-down restaurants have suffered enough. Beauticians, hair salons have suffered enough. Like, just unlock the whole bloody thing. Like, it doesn't make sense. Soft level 3 doesn't make sense. Why is government? I mean, I know why they're so obsessed, but I have to ask this question rhetorically. Why this obsession with clinging to this disaster management nonsense? Why are we clinging to lockdown level 3? Because then we're going to get level 2 and then eventually level 1. When is level 0 going to come? Just lift it. There's no point to this anymore. It's just centralized power drunkenness and centralization of state control over economic and social life. This is all that this is about. I mean, we then ran the numbers in another post, I think, about how many people die from tuberculosis, which is hundreds of thousands. I think it's like a good 170,000 people. Anyway, it's like 330 people a day die from TB alone. In a good flu season, not a good, sorry about that. I mean in a bad flu season, we lose on average, between 6 to 11,000 people. So bad flu season, about 11,000 South Africans die just from flu. Pneumonia kills a whole bunch more, ordinary pneumonia. We've got this entire narrative that's driven by the corporate media that just instills fear in people and carries on perpetuating that negative emotion that don't you dare go outside and live. And I'm just going, this is nonsensical. None of this makes sense to me. By not living, we are actually killing people, by not trading, by not performing economic activity that's so necessary. I mean, I don't know how many of you have gone to a mall recently, but it all looks depressing. There's no real vibe. There's no atmosphere. The restaurants are empty. Well, the restaurants are obviously empty, but even the stores that are open and trading, it's like your hands get sanitized like 5 million times a day. I mean, my hands can only handle so much of it. And the hand sanitizer all smells dodgy. And now there are articles about dodgy hand sanitizer being bad for you. So we're living in this culture of fear. We're living under this oppressive atmosphere of fear that's mostly artificial. I may very well have already had this virus. I would like to believe I had, because there's no way in hell for 3 months that, and it's been here much longer than lockdown. Let's be honest. It's been here much longer than that we haven't had it. Most of us must to some degree have been exposed to a point of contracting, but we're still living in fear. And then on top of that, I got a message that listen, the guy I was answering that, he wasn't meaning ill. We subsequently had an offline discussion about what he meant. But the fact is that Paratus is political, okay? We are a political publication because gun rights are civil rights. And we're focusing a hell of a lot more on civil rights suddenly because of the lockdown. But it's because all these things, gun rights are but an incredibly important building block in the foundation of overall civil rights and civic freedoms. It's a right on its own, and it's a protector of other rights and freedoms. So we can't really separate gun rights from politics. It's not possible. Okay, I would love to be able to be in a position where I can just write about which guns are really cool and which accessories, like the Roni, which I dropped, is really cool, and how much I like writing about this stuff. And now I can just do demolition ranch type stuff day in and day out, because miraculously I have money for that, which I don't. By the way, if you don't know what I'm talking about, go look at Demolition Ranch on YouTube. Like, a really cool channel, one of my favorite ones. But I would love to be in a position where I don't have to do this rights advocating stuff, but we're not. Okay, unfortunately, we live in a country where the political environment is hostile towards civilian gun ownership. On that note, Andrew Whitfield, the DA Member of Parliament who's on the Portfolio Committee on Policing, is joining me on this channel tomorrow night at 7. So I will put a reminder up, but we're going to have a nice chat about, the Portfolio Committee, about amendments to the FCA. He's a gun owner himself, so a good guy. And I invited him and immediately said yes. So just to let you know, Andrew's good people, and he does stand up for us in that committee a lot, but he'll also be able to take questions from you and questions from me. So do tune in for that at 7. But it's obvious that we can't really separate at all, not even really, we cannot separate at all the question of gun rights from civil rights, and we cannot separate the fight for rights from politics. Ultimately, we have to win this fight in the highest court in the land, which is not the constitutional court, it's the court of public opinion. Because public opinion is ultimately what pressures politicians into behaving in a certain way. And I think that's really the crux of what I tried to convey to the guy when he sent me that message. You get male and female caps. You kind of, I think you do, depending on the sizing. But listen, I could just be wrong with that, Paul. No Piratas bikinis unless I get a huge amount of people interested in it. Then I might rethink it. The Boogaloo shirts are pretty much good to go. The major problem is pricing and distribution. They're going to be expensive. They're going to be retailing at about 470 to 500 Rand a shirt. But I'm just going to confirm that again with the guy, if we can maybe just if there's any way to bring the pricing down if we get bigger orders. So I just want to first test the waters of merchandising with items that sell a bit easier. And if that's a success, then I'd say I'm happy to take the risk on the Hawaiian shirts, because it's a bit of a more specialized garment. But I'm going to make sure it's going to happen, and it might be worth making it happen for summer. But if people want it in winter, I'll make a plan to get it in winter. I'll also get an example from the manufacturers about what it's going to look like, so I can put the design up for you guys as well. Linda asked on my channels, I never saw anyone to Beth. No, Beth is always here. Beth is always a start marker. Eleutheria is her channel. Recommend following that. She does excellent work. And Beth, I know you're there. We need to talk about, this is a busy week for us all, but if we can do a live stream, even on the weekend or whenever suits you, let me know, because I think we should do a follow-up on women defending themselves. And you've taken one heck of a journey since we had our discussion last on your channel, which was months ago. A lot has changed since then, in the last 6 to 8 months, if not longer than that. It could even have been close to a year ago. And I think it's worth revisiting, what the landscape looks like now for female firearm ownership in SA, and, all that sort of stuff. Was shut down on Saturday. A Roadhouse restaurant was shut down on Saturday in Johannesburg. Shut down by the cops, or did it shut itself down, Beth? If you don't mind me asking, because either of those are bad, obviously, but yeah. Someone asked about the tobacco court case. Hang on. Steve, still no news from the FETA court case? No. I think they reserve judgment. From what I've read, the government had a really bad case. It did not have much or many legs to stand on. So I presume it's going to go badly. Well, it's going to go poorly for them with regards to what the judgment says. I'm hoping. But if something comes out, we'll stream about it. How's that? It's a deal. Oh, God. Okay, so the cops closed it down. They're trying to survive, and the cops will be... This is just pathetic to me. This is the other thing that keeps making me so angry, is petty tyranny. We've had so many cases of what we call gender-based violence. Now, I go, it's bullshit, okay? There's no such thing as gender-based violence. It's interpersonal violence in a relationship. That's what it's about. The person isn't being abused because she's a woman. She's being abused because her partner is a violent, sadistic arsehole with either problems or whatever else you want to call it. And, of course, violence in the opposite direction, where a female partner is physically abusing or murdering her male partner, or even same-sex partners doing this. There's no gender basis for it. It's a different dynamic. And I think calling it gender-based violence infers that the violence only exists because of someone's gender, which I think completely misrepresents the problem. The violence doesn't exist because of genders. The violence exists because of the violent person involved and the dynamics of an abusive relationship. And this is the other thing: the dynamics of abusive relationships are complex. You get stuff like trauma bonding, and you get the mental disorders that people suffer from who are abused and who are the abusers themselves, and the cycle of abuse. It's very easy for the president to come on TV and say men should stop abusing women. And I just go, that what a simplistic, narrow-minded outlook on a very complicated societal problem that needs to be addressed on various fronts simultaneously. I mean, sure, I'm guilty also of saying, the best way for a woman to stop being abused is for her to shoot her abuser. But at the same time, you also have to recognize that the dynamic in a relationship that's abusive doesn't always lend itself towards that kind of outcome. In many cases, the victim would rather be abused than hurt their abuser. And that is part of that trauma bonding and that Stockholm syndrome type vibe that you get. So, but that's a whole nother thing. In fact, maybe Beth knows more about this than I do. I think, Beth, am I incorrectly attributing this to you? I think we should have a talk maybe about gender-based violence while we talk about women defending themselves. Paul makes a good point. There's been no mention of level 0. Will there ever be a level 0? And that's the insidious thing. And none of the official documentation is there any reference to level 0. It's almost like the ANC would like to keep us locked down forever. And I'm sure they would. I'm sure if it allows them to carry on delaying elections and delaying due process and sabotaging the Western Cape, which is what they're doing, and a whole bunch of other stuff, of course they're gonna milk this for all they have and for all they're worth. Anton says he wants a t-shirt that says "Beraters fok die regering voor dit te laat is." I like that. I really like that. I think that could definitely go in a shirt, Anton. Yeah, we can't vote in 2021, exactly. I think I may have gotten to that conclusion before reading that, Paul. Sorry, man. Yeah, the amount of closed shops in the malls, the ones that are permanently papered up or boarded up, scary. I made mention the other day that the end of the lockdown isn't like the light in the end of the tunnel that we all want. It's actually the beginning of the real crisis, which is the economic crisis. And people don't like hearing it because it sounds doom and gloom. But at the same time, you have to mentally prepare yourself for the fact that we are going to be in a crisis, whether you like it or not. I mean, the UK economy contracted by like more than 20% during the 2 to 3 months of lockdown there. That's huge. They wiped out 8 years worth of economic growth. And sure, they're going to bounce back, and they'll bounce back a lot faster than we will. But we've definitely fared far worse than they have, and I don't think the numbers are in yet. Mike Schussler published some numbers today. I'm going to get him on the show, hopefully next week. Hopefully. Keep your fingers crossed. But he ran some numbers early this morning on his Twitter account about the amount of cross-border freight traffic that's just at its lowest level since possibly the 1980s. I mean, that's bad. During apartheid, we had more cross-border trade with the rest of Africa than we have at present. And that's a scary, scary sort of statistic. So we're going to have to figure out ways to make ourselves, our businesses, more resilient for the coming economic storm, to weather it, to thrive, get away from being reliant on government to provide us with stability, and in between ourselves providing our own stability. And this is a beautiful thing about a free economic system, is that naturally happens. You just leave people alone and you allow them to be productive, and they will find methods with which to create the required infrastructure to do business and to be efficient. So the Paratus Small Business Database is online. Please go take a look at what's there. If you want your business on there, let me know. Send me an email to this email address. Hang on, let me just put it up there. And I will, with your website, your contact details, what you do, and your logo, and I will add you there. And at the same time, please refer to the database. Please share it on social media. Please make people aware that it exists. I need your help in doing that. Please make people aware that it exists and that they can actually find good small businesses there that need their support. Okay. And there's a lot of intra-industry overlap within that database. So if you need a supplier for something, you might find them there. And if you need a client, you might find clients and suppliers within that database. So Sean says basically the same thing. Moving on with the comment section, lots of closed shops in the mall, mostly restaurants. Yeah, and how many of those are actually going to open up? I don't know if I want to do a political party again, but independent candidacy, which I can now do apparently, yeah, maybe. If 16,000 of you are willing to vote for me for president or MP or whatever, can you imagine the utter chaos I can cause in the National Assembly? I'll probably get thrown out within my first week. We can probably. It's a business now. It's registered as a PTY Limited. I don't know if PTY Limiteds can be registered as political parties, but why not? I mean, there's a lot of good people on here, and you guys are very enthusiastic, and you're still watching me. A whole bunch of you in the middle of a Monday afternoon are watching me talk nonsense on YouTube and Facebook. That's actually bloody amazing. Arnu is here. Ronnie in 2020 seriously had the first one way back before you turned 21. Hey, it's a Gen 4 now, and I believe there's a Generation 5 Ronnie out. And you know what? I really didn't. I was narrow-minded at that stage. I didn't see a use for them. I understand now a use for them and how they can be applied and what the purpose is. And that is not Whiskey Friday with Brian. Last Friday, we had a long discussion about this. I recommend go watch Whiskey Friday. Go find it and watch it. It was a really cool discussion. But it's not there to replace an Uzi or a Sana or a BXP. It's got its own special use all on its own, and covered that in the video. So, was that a Glock in the Ronnie? Yes, it was a Glock. And yes, when I dropped it, the gun was empty. There was an empty magazine in the mag holder because I wanted to test how the Ronnie's own mag holder works. And it was cleared and everything. So when I inspected the crown of the flash hider and I was pointing the gun technically at myself, I did do all the checks beforehand to make sure it's clear. I just didn't take the Glock out of it. But yeah, I can't believe I dropped it. I cannot believe that was such an amateur bloody mistake. It was so stupid. But anyway, yeah, as Beth says, duct tape can't fix stupid. Duct tape can't fix a dented Ronnie after an imbecile like me dropped it. It took such an impressive nosedive. Victoria, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for your support. And thank you for taking the time to watch me talk nonsense and to comment. I really appreciate it. What is the material of the shirts? Ripstop type would last forever. So the Hawaiian shirts would be a cotton polyester blend. The actual t-shirts, I think, are 100% cotton, as are the hoodies and the caps. I'm not entirely sure what the material is there, but yeah. Heine, you did not actually miss much, but the rewind button does work. Do I have mag pouches for the FNFL, and where do I get them? I do. I do have mag pouches that fit my ballistic vest as well as my plate carrier, and I got them from B-Tact, which is Chris Base's tactical supplies. He makes them himself, and this stuff is epic. So I'm going to try, and his website's a bit old, but it's easy to navigate, and Chris is a really good guy. And in fact, on my stream tomorrow, I'll just bring this stuff, but I'll put his website on the screen for you. Hang on. No, that's my email address. That's not going to work. Chris Base is btac.coza. That's him. So that's where I got my FNFL mag pouches, and they're epic. Will definitely buy more from Chris. He makes really cool slings. He makes gun bags. He makes pouches. He makes a whole bunch of stuff. So good guy. Now I'm just getting back to the comments. Sorry. Yes, IPV is the new term, but it isn't being picked up by the mainstream as fast as we like. IPV, Beth, now what, if you don't mind telling me, what does IPV stand for? Is that interpersonal violence? And that refers to specifically within the relationship itself, or is there more context to it? Because I'm curious about driving new terms. As you'd see, I don't call it mainstream media anymore. I actually call it corporate media. Someone pointed out to me that's actually a more accurate description about them, because just because they're corporate doesn't mean they're actually accepted in the mainstream. The mainstream is whatever you make the mainstream to be, or what the mainstream is accepted to be. They're the corporate media, and then you get the bunch of us on the outside, which are the guerrilla media, and we're the guys who sit on the floor next in front of a coffee table with a mic and a notebook, doing live stream audience discussions with people that read our stuff. So there's the big difference. No, Mr. Punisher, you can't see the merch yet, and I'll tell you why. The only reason you can't see the merch yet is because, but let me show you some of it anyway, is because it hasn't actually been uploaded, because I quite literally started this project like a week and a half to 2 weeks ago. But things are actually improving. So there we go. I can actually share the screen. No, not that one. Goodness gracious me. Okay. One moment. So I just need it. I just need street. Okay, that was terrible. You did not see that. I'm actually trying to get my preview of the hoodie and the cap to come up on the stream, so I can show you guys what it looks like. I will have a merchandise page as part of the website, and then you guys can see it. But up until then, you might have to. Bugger, it's not actually allowing me to do it, but it's fine. I'll make a plan, and I'll actually just upload. It's on the Facebook page. I'll upload it again to the Facebook page. For some reason, StreamYard just doesn't want to see that screen. So sharing it doesn't want me to do, for whatever stupid reason, which is more of it irritating right now, because I would actually like to show you the stuff, and it doesn't want to play ball. Okay, never mind. But you can see the merchandise, and I will put it back up on the Facebook page, and as soon as I can, it will be on the Paratus website. We need another Black Monday. Steve, you saw 2 roadhouses in the box. We're one of them. We're one of them Top Grill. You don't have to say anything, but I've been to Top Grill. Love Top Grill, one of my favorite roadhouses. It's in the Worcester Oosrand, and I was a huge fan. Still am, I think, a huge fan of their food. They were typical roadhouse fare. Really fond of them. So if they're open, good for them. Beth, I'm not heavily involved, but you has some knowledge. Cool. So Beth, we will definitely talk then about interpersonal / gender-based. Paul asks me, where's the zapper? I can give you the overlay. It's massive. There we go. There's the zapper. So we got some money through the zapper for Whiskey Friday. So I can buy whiskey for myself and Brian now, and we can get drunk. You can scan it with your phone and send me drinking money. Quite literally, drinking money. Feed my unhealthy alcohol habit. On what level will competency tests be available? At the moment, shooting ranges do training only for like already existing established clients, no sports shooting, none of that. I assume from level 2 onwards, competency training will be back up and running. But as we know, these things are subject to change every day and every week. And hopefully there's enough pressure being put on government by the industry that competency training will be allowed to go ahead. I mean, there's a whole bunch of other stuff that's allowed to go ahead. Why not competency training? Ice, great seeing you. Yeah, the ANC would love to keep the lockdown till at least 2024, and I agree with you. I think so. Linda asks Beth where she can find a channel. It's Eleutheria. I hope I'm saying that correctly, but I will try to type it. I'm not going to type it because I'm going to mess it up. Beth, please tell Linda where to find your channel. Steve, this whole electoral decision is going to be a bigger can of corruption, and I'm sure the current regime will use it to the benefit. I would hope that it isn't, but you know what? Let's see what happens. The law of unintended consequences, right? ANC has never met a terrible idea it didn't love. If you promise that I will make it possible for us to own tanks, you get my vote. I will absolutely make it possible for you to own tanks. And I mean, why stop there? Fighter aircraft, whatever you want. I think I didn't see any point why. I mean, there are many countries in which people can own tanks. If you can afford to own a tank and you can afford to feed it and you can afford to run it, then why not? If I can drop a Roni and maybe get a correct sling, I will vote for you. You know what? If I have to buy your votes with Ronnie's and a sling, then I think we're onto something. Superglue the mag holder works for me. Okay, excellent. I just need to. Apparently, what I did wrong there is that the Roni comes with a proprietary sling attachment. The Magpul stuff allegedly isn't compatible on this generation of Roni, and you have to use their attachment, which I'm just like, I kind of get why they did that from a commercial point of view. I just think it's a bit shitty and scummy thing to do, especially if every other platform out there uses a standard QD type fitting. I mean, to now be different just seems, it's a little excessive for me, but whatever. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. The Brew, goeiemiddag aan u ook, meneer. I'm just assuming your language now, but yeah. Beth, yes, interpersonal violence, as in within personal relationship, can be male or female or any combination, and I think it might include against children. Yeah, that would make more sense calling it that, because calling it gender-based violence just doesn't. Calling it gender-based violence just doesn't make sense to me, because that kind of paints the picture that it's about the gender of the person being abused, and it's not. It's about that. What the fuck is everyone selling merch? Dude, economic times are tough. We got to sell merch. And to be honest, if people want Hawaiian shirts with my logo on it, and if they want, look, the baseball caps and the hoodies are really epically cool. And I would buy my, to be honest, I don't want to sell merchandise unless I would buy my own stuff. So I'm definitely going to buy my own caps. Ice, we almost entered the Matrix. How dare you, Gideon? Video in a video. Yeah, that was close. That was a close call. We just managed to avoid that. Should do a roadhouse while girls on roller skates and bikinis wash my car. That could make for interesting video footage. I don't quite know if we can figure out an angle how this ties into civil rights and gun rights, and then I will definitely take my Subaru to be washed at a roadhouse by women in bikinis and scantily clad women in bikinis and roller skates. Mark Lottering makes a point. Some places are running competency tests already. I'm glad to hear that. Who says we don't dispense great information on this talk nonsense live stream I do with you guys? So there we go. Mark, if you don't mind just telling us where, and then I can point people in the right direction. I like doing that. There's Beth's channel. So that's where you can find Beth, by the way. That Whiskey Friday carried on through Saturday and Sunday COD sessions, a little fragile today. I have to admit, I was a bit fragile by Saturday morning myself. I'm not going to lie, but yeah. And the brew and Beth clearly know each other. Shoal, if I get a 2-seater cheetah, will you teach me how to fly it? You're a pilot, Moss. I'm a pilot. I'm not a very good instructor necessarily, but you know what, Shoal? We can learn together. And what's the worst that can happen is just we can turn it into a smoking hole. So that's it from me, really. I think I went off on a tangent about civil rights and gun rights, which are the same thing. And now I would hope people understand it. Now, in my opinion, we horribly overreacted to this virus. How it's not even a drop in the ocean compared to what people are dying from out there anyway, right now in SA. And that we just killed the economy for no good reason. Now I have to figure out how we're going to, survive and thrive under challenging circumstances. And yeah, please go on that small business database, support it. Get your business on there if you want. I'll put it on there. It's free. And just spread the word, spread the news, share it. Share the business, the business database page or the directory page on the thing. Paul, can I fly helicopters? No. Now, I've always wanted to fly choppers. That was what I actually wanted to do. And I never quite got that far. So no, I can't. Only fixed wing, unfortunately. You didn't get notified. Look, the live stream, I don't know if you set a reminder for it, but it was a bit impromptu. I'm doing another one tomorrow, probably in the afternoon, and then tomorrow night at 7, it's Andrew Whitfield of the DA, and we're going to have a nice chat. We all need to vent. Don't apologize. Thanks, Steve. I really appreciate it. Like, I do vent a lot, though. I mean, I think all of you guys know. And Beth gives good advice, and apparently I am pronouncing her thing correctly. So, guys, to wrap up, is there anything you want me to talk about? Is there anything you want to ask me? Is there anything from your side that sticks out? I mean, we're going on a good 35 minutes. There's still a whole bunch of you here. Like, are none of you working today? I mean, not that I'm blaming you for not working, but none of you working today. I'm happy to still sit here for another like 25 minutes or whatever and interact with you, because that's actually the point of these streams. It's for me to like say stuff, and then I get feedback from you, and then we have a whole, have a session amongst ourselves, which I find really cool. I love having an audience that I can interact with and that I can ask to ask me. I feel a bit like your pet monkey. I think we talked about this before, but it's just nice having this. But if everyone is kind of done, then I'm done. But I see a whole bunch of stuff came in. Thanks, Guido. I can carry on with work. Okay, I'm glad I was a brief distraction. Okay, night streams are no good. No, don't worry. Look, the live streams like this, I'll carry on doing the day. And then at night with Andrew, look, that's a recorded session as well, 2 degrees. So at least all my stuff is on the YouTube channel, so people can always watch the interviews at their leisure. Rian, we were blinded by the cancer media regarding the virus. I think it was a worldwide overreaction, though. If you look at everything, Italy was such an outlier, and I think textbooks will still be written about what happened there. And then it was mass hysteria. We used Italy, the biggest outlier in the whole crisis, and we held it up as like a policy poster child. And we wrote all policy based on that, whereas we just ignored Sweden, and people still said Sweden's doing stupid shit. They ended up having the most rational policy by not locking down at all, and they're doing fine. They do not have they had no disproportionate death rate. The economy didn't tank by 20% like the UK one did. I remember in the US, they were talking about mass graves in New York for all the people dying from COVID-19. I don't know if you know the story about that mass grave, and I can tell you quickly. So that mass grave has been in existence since, I think, 1870 on I think it's called Hart Island. And it was made shortly after the American Civil War. And this is where they essentially bury people that don't get claimed by next of kin. So it's homeless people, it's swervers, the whole sort of thing. And so it is quite literally a mass grave, but it's a mass grave that's like 150 years old. This is not a new mass grave. They didn't dig any new mass graves in New York in order to deal with, the expected COVID deaths and millions of body bags and whatever. That never happened in the US. That never happened. It was never an existential crisis. There's never been something out of a Hollywood movie. And this is the picture that the media dishonestly painted to us, is that people are just going to drop dead like flies. The streets would be full of bodies. And for some bizarre reason, the government thought, yeah, cool. This means we can actually successfully lock down like millions of people living in townships that have no toilets or running water. They need to use communal facilities. They're all dependent on grants and they live hand to mouth. Sure, we can lock them down and this is going to stop. I think I did a video about that at the very start of the lockdown where I said this is ridiculous. And it's great that I haven't had to change my opinion and walk anything back because it was right. Not that I'm the only person that said that. Not that I'm so clever. I'm not a special human being. All that I did is I applied a little bit of critical thinking. And for people who know me, I am not the brightest bulb in the lighting warehouse. I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed. I'm not special. I literally just use common sense. I didn't need models to tell me these things. You can just think, okay, what are the consequences of shutting down? Can you do it? And it just feels to me like a great number of people in charge of economies and countries across the entire world just failed at this. So either they're incredibly stupid or they're pushing an agenda or they're doing both. Now, I don't have the answer for that, but it's up to you guys to decide what you think. I have Brian Many coming. Oh my goodness, you got Brian on. Okay, so Brian's going to be on at 8. I've got Andrew from 7 till 8. You've got Brian from 8 to 9. Definitely tuning in for that, and I'm so glad you hooked him in there. Brian is an excellent guest. Well, I would know by now because we're going to do Whiskey Friday is going to be a weekly thing now. Has everyone been buying ammo and antibiotics? I've got so much ammo. See, there's one thing I did right is I stocked up on ammo. I stocked up on literally nothing else. So I'm okay for that part of the crisis. Linda asks a good question. How can I get into sports shooting? Linda, it's quite literally the easiest thing in the world to get into, depending upon where you live. So if you can, you're on the West Rand. Okay, cool. So Cecil Payne is probably the closest to you. There are a whole bunch of shooting clubs that operate from there. It's to join your nearest shooting club and then pick what you're interested in. Are you interested in doing 3-gun stuff like handgun, shotgun, rifle? Are you interested in doing handgun stuff only? Are you interested in doing shotgun-related activities more? Or do you want to do long-distance shooting? There is such a large variety of activities and sports you can choose from, and they're all very different, and they're all fun. And it also depends what you want to get out of it. If you want to add to a defensive skill set, for example, then I'd say do combatives and defensive training more than sports shooting, but then use the sports shooting to help you in a fun way keep your fundamentals sort of sharp, because that it really feeds in really well as long as you can differentiate between the two. But definitely do sports shooting. Easiest way to get involved is to join the National Hunting and Shooting Association, the NHSA. They've got postal target shooting that you can do and target shooting exercises that they instruct. Well, they give you instructions about what you need to do. You print the target out at home and you just follow the instructions on the target at the shooting range. That's a less cardiovascular, less dynamic form of sports shooting. You get the IPSCs and the IDPAs. So, IPSCs, which I did for a long time, through SAPSA, and IDPA through SATPA, although I don't know what's going on with IDPA at the moment. There was a lot of politics. I never shot it. I have no idea. Someone will tell me. Those are the more dynamic sports shooting disciplines where there's a lot of movement, and then you get SATSA, which is the Tactical Shooting Association. I really ought to do a video just on this, and I need to talk to people who know more about sports shooting than I do. I just do my stuff through SATSA at the moment, SATSA and the NHSA, which is about as dynamic as I want to make it because I get to choose, which is fun. The Uke of Dork, eggplant lines also. That can go in a shirt, I'm sure. Anton, do you think? Beth giving... Beth giving good advice, and Steve as well, local range, and Linda's on the West Strand. So I hope I managed to answer your question, Linda, to a degree. Please join Ghosts and Girls of Fire as well. Keith gives good advice. Steve, that's such a low bow. I don't practice anymore. This is a valid point. And yeah, okay, so Linda, any more info, or could I just Google? So you used to shoot .22. So I do think Googling, but here's someone I actually can also speak to, is Mareka. And Mareka, we should actually do, when you're not working and when you're not donating money to keep myself and Brian drunk, we should probably have you on a Whiskey Friday, actually. But you work when we're on, but it doesn't matter. We'll actually make a plan to get Mareka on the stream as well. Mareka does sports shooting. What do you do, Mareka? Which discipline? And I believe you've been doing it for some time. Mareka actually shoots bloody well from everything I hear. There you go. NHSA easiest, no politics. And if you're in the Western Cape, or Cape Town specifically, you're always welcome to come do sports shooting with me with my club. My club moves around. So it's Spectre unit. We're affiliated with the one in Centurion, but I run the Cape Town chapter down here. And I'm happy to pull you in on any of my sports shooting stuff. It goes from range to range. We don't have a home range specific. I go from False Bay to Somerset West to a place in Wellington. We've been out as far as Worcester. So, yeah, Spectre travels. So if you want, there's an invitation. Hit me up. Yeah. Mareka's on holiday from this afternoon. Okay, excellent. So we can actually then this week try and get a stream. We must actually get you on a Whiskey Friday then, Mareka. You can bring your own whiskey. Mareka is a Springbok shooter. Roman, thanks for tuning in. By the way, did you miss? I was punting your mask earlier. You capitalist pig with your Obey mask. It arrived today. I'm super chuffed. Order went, just to tell everyone, I'm using the same company as Roman for my merchandise. I'm shilling now. Good quality stuff. Ordered it last week. Shipped in. Got it this morning. We're happy with it. Paul, you are more than welcome anytime to come pew-pew with me. I'd love it. Okay, so Mareka does the serious stuff, the metallic silhouette shooting, which is, I did it once. It's a hell of a lot harder than it looks, and it requires a serious amount of, you need to have your shooting fundamentals under control for this. So it's everything. It's the breathing, the side picture, the trigger control, all the good stuff. You can bring your big gun, Paul, anytime. You can bring the small one too. I don't know if that sounds like a come on, but it might be. So, yeah, see, Roman doesn't even, you should start paying me for shilling his stuff. But yes, it was, I'm more happy, and I'm very happy we're using the same agency because they clearly know what they're doing. Does Mareka have Springbok Biltong then, asks Paul. So Mareka, that's your thing. I think we should get you then, while you're still on holiday, we're going to get you on Whiskey Fridays. If you feel comfortable sharing a screen with Brian, that's the major question. Well, Beth has him. Beth has him tomorrow night. So Brian's really being the village bicycle right now. Like he's just getting into everyone else's YouTube shows. So guys, anything else you want to know about? Anything else I can supply information or opinion, which is mostly what I do, is I just give you my opinion. The dodgy idealist is here. Hello, sir or ma'am. Actually, you know what? We follow each other on YouTube. We follow each other on Twitter. I read your blog. I have no idea if you're a sir or a ma'am. Not that that matters. But if you let me know, then I can at least get your pronoun right. There's that. And Ramon offers me 5% per mask. Deal. I will shill it hard and everywhere, sir. I don't know who the legend is, Beth, but yes. And yeah, that's me for today. We've had a nice 45-minute session. I really liked interacting with all of you. I thought it was a pretty cool chat. And buy Ramon's mask. Please buy my coffee. It's in links in the description. I actually do get commission for helping Reon sell his Boeretrus, and he's sending me some coffee to drink out of one of his branded mugs, so I can be like a real proper what do you call it? Consumer prostitute creature thing. Roman, we'll talk. I'm going to give you a call and I'll explain to you how this works, and I'll hook you up with some good people to help you with your DSS. And it is Sir Dodgy Idealist. There we go. Excellent stuff. Have I been getting any gardening tips from the chat? No, I've been getting gardening tips from people who know what they're doing, because clearly that lot, you know what? There was a great Soviet famine. There was a Russian famine just after the Russian Revolution. Then there was a great Soviet famine in 1930 to 1933. And then there was one in the 1920s as well. I now understand fully why communists starve, because when it comes to agriculture, gardening, horticulture, anything to do with being productive with plants and animals, they don't have a fucking clue what they're doing. They have no idea whatsoever. And this is just living proof again of it. So also, if you don't like my coffee, buy Roman's coffee. He also sells coffee. Separate suppliers. I don't even know why on earth I'm telling you to buy his stuff and not mine, but he's got good coffee. And you know what? We cross-pollinate. So I'll buy his mask, I'll buy his coffee if he buys my cap and hoodie. How's that? Marika is a legend. Yes, she is. Yes, Ramon, I am a disgusting shill. And you missed my... I even put my Zapper code on the screen earlier, and it's massive. My Zapper code is much bigger than yours. Let me show you. Check this. Boom, it's huge. It basically takes up 2/3 of the screen. Roman, your comments are hidden from Beth, unless she's not reading. Because it's Beth, just to show you, this is the morning shot. Unless you can't see him for some reason, we'll get to the bottom of that. Also, whenever Roman says buy the masks and GIMP masks, you can't help. Indeed, I really love the abbreviation you picked for it. I think that's flippin' clever. If we did our own Chaz, what would we call it? That's a valid question. So here's one for the audience. If we had our own autonomous zone, come up with something. Stefan, Spectre will have a more formal match with a few standard stages to compete in nationally, but it's all multi-gun though. Yeah, but we like multi-gun, Stefan. Multi-gun is good. And by the way, I'm doing a Spectre shoot tomorrow, undisclosed location, under the guise of proficiency maintenance, which is technically what it is. And I'll send you the pictures. So Stefan actually administrates. He's my... For want of a better word, he's my shooting club commissar. He's the man behind the Spectre. And he is a Spectre. So good people, if you want to do sport shooting and you are serious about it, not necessarily from getting Springbok colors, but from becoming a really good at running your guns, speak to Stefan or speak to another person Ramon knows really well, which is Craig Gadd, who does, I don't know if Craig still does the sports adventure shooting, but really good people, like solid, and anarchists are type of our vibe. Is Ramon in incognito mode? We're about to find out. Also, they just want the cities. They hate the rural areas. They do. They do. It's like that book that Daniel Lash wrote about Flyover Nation. They want the cities. They don't care about Middle America, and they don't care about doing actual hard work. Morning Shot. Check out NHSA in the meantime. Easiest way without doing SADPA SAPSA route. I agree. NHSA, solid people as well. And NHSA is compatible with Spectre. If you don't want to join SATSA and do the whole rigmarole there, you can compete with Spectre through NHSA as well. We accept their memberships as basically as our own. Life is not commie's strong point. Graham, my other favorite purple cow. Welcome. Thank you for tuning in. Otherwise, I'll take it a rod. Yeah, fair right. There we go. Steve gave Ramon some good info. Live chat. Yes, that's where you'd see them. Beth, I think we just figured it out. Where on earth am I now? See, I keep losing my comments because the stuff just. People must change from top chat to live chat. Yes, actually, a bit of a YouTube neckray there. See, I see all the comments come through because I'm going through StreamYard, so it just shows me everything. Oh, Chaz is the Western Cape. Autonomous Republic of Kaboom Boom. That actually, it could be a nice tongue twister. I think we could make that happen. For coffee stun, especially if you make it for coffee stun, because I actually need to go grab a decent cup of joe right now. I might take a walk after this. And everyone else is laughing. So, guys, this is like the fourth time I'm saying, is there anything else you want me to talk about or react to? Because I've run out of stuff to say, which always happens early in my audience streams, because this is not really about me. It's really about you guys. And I really enjoy just doing this. I would enjoy it more if I had coffee, but are the live streams working for you guys? Is there anything you'd like me to change? I'm getting a guy to make me a nice little sexy intro with heavy metal music. I'm not like a pop music guy, so it'll be metal/industrial to make it more fun, I guess, because right now it's pretty raw. I just come in and start talking, and you guys just tune in and react. So there's that. Also, if there are certain people you want me to talk to or interview, let me know. I'm always open to suggestions. Topics you'd like me to discuss or research or write about, because I did one about knife and gun prohibitions not working, and I want to follow that up with why alcohol and tobacco prohibitions don't work. Like, we all know they don't work, but this is stuff that should be shareable so that people outside the echo chamber can read it and maybe change their minds as well. So there's that. Autonomous Republic 15, or AR-15 for short. I think we just got it. I think we just got the name for, unless someone can get something that works with FAL. But yeah, I think we just got our thing. Paul says you got your passport or you have to have a passport to come to the Western Cape. Eleutheria likes the live streams. Okay, that works for me. It gives us sanity of the day. Anton has a DOP. I don't. Roman likes it raw, but okay, we just went there. But this always happens. I have a chat with Colonel Chris Wyatt on Second Amendment rights. You know what? If the Colonel is willing to talk to me, then I will most definitely give him a chat. Heine seems happy. Piratist and blast beats. Hell yeah. We have to do some metal, bro. Like, it has to be. Germ's intro is the bomb. I want my own hardcore intro. It would make, and that'll be Anton's work, by the way. CEO Tip-Off Show, another channel that Anton did an epic interview with Davy Ruet. I've probably said this 5 million times, but Davy was drinking wine. Davy didn't give a fuck. He was just shooting from the hip, laughing, trolling the entire universe. It was epic. It was one of the best, if not the best, interview with Davy Ruet I've ever seen in my life. I've watched a lot of formal interviews with him. None of them have I seen Davy give as few fucks as he did when he was talking to Anton, and he dropped amazing sound bites and truth bombs. So go to Anton's channel, go find his interview with Davy Ruet. It was epic. It was absolutely bloody epic. And apparently Anton's doing a follow-up with him, so I'm keeping fingers crossed with that. FIFO, fit in or fell off? That's so close to Autonomous Republic 15. I dig it. I might actually put those on a shirt as well. Fell Republic, fuck all liberals. No, that creates more liberals. Oh, I love where this is going. The cops seem to be in hiding lately. Have they given up on lockdown? Well, not if you want to go to Ceres to look at the snow like I did this weekend. That entire town was blocked off by 4 roadblocks, 4 of them. And even the officers manning them were like, dude, we're letting people through because, we hate this as much as you do, but we can only get away with letting so many people through. So even the officers enforcing it said it's bullshit, but that's the fault of Kenny Africa. He's in charge of this particular part, institution in the Western Cape. So send all your hate mail to Kenny Africa. Kenny Africa is a dickhead, and he should be fired because he's busy enforcing the Bekitele bullshit on his own residents in the Western Cape who didn't vote for the ANC. So Kenny Africa has got to go, by the way, just putting that right out there. And I think I might put that on my Facebook page as well. So Kenny Africa needs to go. Do your own thing. That's all we want. And you also love live stream. Absolutely. No, I'm definitely, listen, I don't know how to do anyone else's thing. The only thing I can do is my own thing. And I do like coming in raw. That's what she said. As well. Had to shoe on that in there. But I would like to have an intro. There is just a certain something about just a quick 5 to 10 seconds, because otherwise I give you 5 to 10 seconds of dead air while everyone remembers that the show is starting. And then by the time they tune in, I'm already like half a minute deep talking shit. So it's just a nice little thing. It's better than just having a blank screen, I think, at least. Oh dear, I'm sorry about that. Like, this is the one thing about my channel. I'm a potty mouth. Okay, I'm gonna swear, and yeah, but Beth doesn't care. Use something like Infant Annihilator for intro. Ooh, I like that. Just to put into perspective, I'm listening to a lot of All That Remains these days. I'm listening to some commie music, the Rage Against the Machines. I know it's commie music, but it's so good. Some of it is so good. And some Three Teeth. Like, I don't know if you've ever heard of Three Teeth. They are a lot like Nine Inch Nails and Perfect Circle when those bands were still good, when they still had that heavy industrial soul of theirs. So I'm really enjoying Three Teeth right now as well. Kenny Africa said we may not move from district to district. I think that was him, and he needs to eat a dick. The guy is a ANC patsy and lapdog. And if the DA has, in fact, this is something I can discuss with Mr. Whitfield tomorrow, although he doesn't get involved in provincial politics. I'm going to say, it would be a really good deal for the DA to ditch Kenny Africa because he's a dickhead. Get rid of him. Morning shot, not if you raise them with a rifle. JMPD hassled some roadside hawkers in Randburg. Exactly. You know what? How's that for losing touch with reality and the situation on the ground? Is there people who are just trying to scrape a living together and you harass him? Comments on Pierre de Vos, please. What, apart from the fact that he's a irreconcilable Duis and that nobody should listen to anything he says, and he should just flush himself down the toilet of irrelevance because that's where he is. He is a sewer snake. And his whole idea, his whole communist utopia has already collapsed around his ears. And he was whining like a stuck pig about lockdown and how it hurts the poor. So for a very brief moment in time, I thought Pierre de Vos may have found what remained of his sick, putrid soul. And then he goes and is like, fuck you and your inheritance. You're not allowed to leave anything to your children. The government should take everything and then redistribute as they see fit. I'm like, you know what, Pierre? Fuck you. You had your chance. You saw the light, and then you willingly poked your own eyes out just so that you can go back to your commie rhetoric. What an absolute oxygen thief! No time for him whatsoever. There's being typically lame and timid, and that's an unfortunate thing, Graham. They had such a great they had such a great start to try and find their soul again, and they just fucked it up. Unfortunately, that's just what happened. Really don't give a about swearing when your toddler starts saying we need to clean this fucking pool. Okay, that just made my day. That just made my day. The Zuma zone. Zuma's unwelcome machine guns allowed zone. Machiniwam, I think. Bring me my machine gun, guys. And hello, Carolyn. Thank you for tuning in again from Atlanta. And I hope you guys are keeping safe there in between all the absolute ridiculous bullshit that you're being put through. And the dodgy ID list. Pierre de Force has a soul? Maybe. I don't know. He's certainly struggling to find it. And on that bombshell, tomorrow, I'm going to a shooting range. I can't tell you what time because I'm trying to maintain some operational security here. But when I'm back, I will do another live stream in the afternoon. And then tomorrow night, it's obviously with Mr. Whitfield. So, yeah, that's a more formal one. But live stream with you guys. I want to do more of these. Literally, the reason why I've been relatively quiet the past week is I've been dealing with a lot of stuff, in mostly formalizing paratus, doing work for Mike Schussler, who I'm helping with a project and that he's paying me for. I'm very awesome guy, by the way. Mike Schussler, awesome guy. And I'm hoping to do more work for him. So that kind of kept me busy. And then my best friend from high school committed suicide on Wednesday, and that still hasn't quite sunk in. And I'm still trying to figure out, he's in Pretoria, how the funeral is going to work and all this other stuff. So it's not been a good week with live streams and trying to get to people. But this week and the next week and so on, I promise I'll do more of this because I said the action with you guys is actually really important to me, and I don't want to miss out on it. So that's the reason I've been a bit more quiet than usual. But we will carry on doing what we need to do. And Caroline, glad to hear you're carrying and that you guys are safe. And thank you very much for the condolences. I have to admit, the support has been great. So I'm fine, but his family really needs a lot of support, and I'm trying to help where I can. It's difficult because it's 1,500 kilometer distance, but you do what you can. And a lot of the time, what they do need is the emotional support, and even if you can give that over a phone call and just let them know you're there for them, that means more than anything else under most circumstances. So, Conrad, hello, good to see you here again as well, sir. Sure, yes, I know. You just plant seeds and you watch me go off like a cheap alarm clock. And guys, thank you for everything. And I don't want to end it on a downer. It was really just me saying why I've been a bit scarce. And also what's important, I think, reach out to the people around you. Make sure they know you appreciate them. Always take the phone call even if it annoys you, from someone close. And if you feel the need that life's too much for you, find someone and reach out. That's the one thing I'd say. Even if you're in the deepest, darkest hole and you believe no one cares, someone does. You have to be astoundingly cursed for no one to give a shit about you at all. Someone does. Someone cares that you're alive. Someone cares about you. Even if you don't think so, even if you don't feel it, reach out, make contact, and make that phone call, because not making that phone call may be the last mistake you make in your life. And a lot of us on the outside looking in, not taking that phone call might be the biggest or worst mistake that we remember for the rest of our lives. So do reach out. And that's the message, I think. Did I manage with the Ronnie single point strap? Not yet, but don't worry. I've figured out what's wrong, and I'll be doing a proper sort of, I don't really need to do a review on the Ronnie because I think everyone knows what it is, but I'll do a practical demonstration of why I think it's relevant and why I think people should consider buying one if it fits their particular need basis, right? If you have a use for it. And on that bombshell, guys, thank you for tuning in to another one of these. I look forward to doing one with you tomorrow and then Mr. Whitfield tomorrow night. Look after yourselves, stay strong. And if you want in on my database, let me know, and I'll add you to the small business directory or medium business directory or professional person directory, whatever you want to call it, because it really is open for everybody. And you can send me an email to there. Here you go. You can just email me and let me know and I'll add you. And for that, thanks for tuning in, guys. Have a lekker rest of your Monday and see you all tomorrow.